I have popped in early, 10 minutes. Didn't realize it was 10 minutes early. So we'll just hang out and wait for everybody to get on. If anyone is there and watching, please let me know if you can hear me. I don't think anybody's here just yet. Again, I am 10 minutes early. Let me link it in Facebook. Oh, I'm warm today. I think a lot of people are on that cruise or just getting back from that So Magical cruise. Okay, let me get this into Facebook. I don't believe I hit go live so early. So sorry if you're watching this in the replay. You may want to just fast forward to the 10-minute mark and we'll be good to go. Ooh, that was loud. Alrighty, so give it 8 minutes. Again, super early. I even have my iron all heated up here. I'm ready to go. Five more minutes. Again, if you're watching this in replay, you may want to skip it to the 10-minute mark because I was silly and didn't realize that I was 10 minutes early. I didn't want to have to stop the live and then start the live again, so. 'Hi, Diane. Can you hear me okay? I came on 10 minutes early. I didn't realize I was early, so I've been all by myself. Can you hear me now? Perfect. And are you sewing along with us today? Perfect. Then I've been hanging out here for 10 minutes. I totally don't know why I hit the live button, but I couldn't unhit it. It's already live, so I just hung out by myself. Got all your fabrics chosen out good? Oh my goodness, I don't think I had enough coffee today. It's good. Everything is good. My sojo's kind of lacking the last couple days. Like, I've been doing more knitting than sewing. I just haven't been able to get into it. So I'm halfway through the Fun Bobby backpack tutorial, which I have to get done tomorrow because my client needs it in the mail by Thursday morning. So tomorrow I gotta start putting the pedal to the metal and getting my work done. I think I'm just thinking because I leave not tomorrow, but next Wednesday for 6 days of camping. And I think I'm really, really looking forward to that unplug. I don't think we have internet service up there. So I'll be reading and knitting, and Dave can go fishing, and I can take the dogs for hikes. I think it's just going to be a really, really, really nice mini vacation. And then I'm home for 3 days, and then I'm in Ontario for a week. Crazy. How are you? Get the top stitch on your Trailblazer? Oh, how come you're nervous about that? How's your zipper? Is it nice and straight? This is the customer order, right? You got it. Just take it nice and slow. Hello, Dawn. Dawn, are you going to be sewing along with us today? Yay, Diane. Then your top stitch should be perfectly fine. If you're worried about the top stitch on your machine, because you kind of have to put it because you don't have the cylinder arm, what you could do is fold the bag inside out, and then so you have your exterior on the inside, so you can kind of sew in a loop-de-loop. If you look at my no, I don't have it in my Simona one. I did it the other way, but oh, Dawn had a nap. I could do a nap. He said, I was just telling Diane how I've been lacking my sojo. I rarely lose my sojo, but man, it's just gone. I think we had Annie and Kim that were sewing with us last time, so we'll see if they pop on. Otherwise, we will get started. And we do have 18 other people in the class, but I think everybody is watching after the fact. Linda, if you end up watching this after the fact, and you get a hold of me this month, you were the VIP of the month for April, so I do owe you a $25 Canadian gift card for somewhere. So please do, if you see this, contact me. I've been knitting like no tomorrow. That's okay. It's all good. Okay, we're going to get started just because there's so much to go. Are you ready, Diane? And I'll mark people off as they pop in. All right. So, because I'm not super familiar with the pattern, we are going to kind of follow the pattern in the order that it is. Oh, hi, Annie. Annie, are you going to be sewing along with us today? Don't mind me, I'm like in my sweats and everything. Like I'm super, super lazy today. Holy moly. And let me move some of this stuff out of the way. I've got my iron set up over here. Just my Ulisso. I thought that would be easier. Okay, so we are going to start with making the tab closures. So we are on page 10 of the pattern. So let's grab out all of those pieces. Where's my little tab piece? There it is. Okay, that's fine, Annie. All right. Oh, I'm going to need that one mark still. So I'm not going to worry about marking this just yet for that. We'll do it after. It's easier. I'm just going to trim out my interfacing. So I'm using cotton here. We have our Peltex. If you have fleece, you can definitely go ahead and fuse it onto one of them. But I'm using the Duckville Heavy just because it makes it a little bit more solid for my snap. So what we want to do is we want to take these two pieces and we want to put them right sides together. We're starting easy today. Then we're going to sew around all of this with a, I think it was 3/8. Make passment. Yeah, I believe the seam allowance was 3/8. I should have looked. Pretty sure. Let me double check. Yep. 3/8. Okay, so we're going to leave this top edge open and we're just going to stitch all the way around there. Okay. Let me... Oh my God. Super smooth with the transition. You need to put your interfacing on? Your woven interfacing, Diane? Okay, go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and I'll sew it and then I'll wait for you until you're all done. So 3/8 of an inch all the way around. Oh, I just realized I didn't put my wedding rings on. That's what I felt. No wonder I felt so naked all day today. Went out for coffee with my girlfriend and I didn't even have my wedding rings on. Oh my goodness. I don't wear them when I'm at home usually. I'm not a big jewelry person, but I always do when I'm out and about. I try to remember when I do videos. I don't always remember though. Just oiled the machines yesterday, so okay. Oopsies. Let me put that on. There we go. Guess it's that time of year already, Annie, for teachers' presents. Sneaky, hey? This is my leaky Oliso. This is my third one I've ever had, and they just leak water. They don't have very much water in it. They just leak like no tomorrow. But I thought it works better to use this for classes, especially when doing a wallet, because we will be doing a lot of ironing work today, tons of it. It's hard to believe another school year's done. Holy moly, time sure does fly when you're having fun. I never realized it because I don't have school-age kids anymore. Totes for teachers. Dawn, are you going to make this wallet? It's a gooder. I likes it. I'm going to be pricing mine at $95 Canadian. I think that's fair. I sell my NCWs for $60, but this has a lot more to it. There's a little more work. Okay, ready? Okay. So once you have that all sewn, you're going to take your pinking shears and you're just going to trim that seam allowance down about 1/8 of an inch-ish or so. Try not to get it on my wool mat. And then right at these pointy kind of corners here, I'm just going to kind of cut these on an angle at those corners. That will just help us get a little bit sharper of a corner there. Mine's going to be shaped oddly because my stitching isn't very accurate, but that's okay. And then go ahead and turn that right side out. This may take a minute. This is in the tutorial. I originally had fused my Decaville Heavy on, which made this impossible to turn. So I tore it out, and then we're going to do it a different way. A little bit finicky, but just because it's so small, but it's doable. There we go. Oh, I should have asked first, Diane, are you using a snap or a magnetic snap? I'm using a snap like the pattern, so I didn't install the magnetic snap yet because mine is going to go all the way through. No worries, Dawn. Okay, and you can give that a good press once you have it all done. You're going to use a snap? Okay, I was going to say, otherwise you can always install the magnetic snap through there if you wanted to. If you're doing a magnetic snap, that's not what's in the pattern. But if you are, before having sewn all that, you would have wanted to install the male side of your magnetic snap on the lining side of this before sewing it together. But I'm using a snap thing. So what we want to do is we want to fit this inside. I can already tell that my piece is a little bit too wide, so I'm just going to trim it up a little bit. Oops, that might have been a little too much. We'll find out. And we're going to take this and we're going to slide it inside. Make sure your seam, can you see there how my seam's all on one side? You want to keep it on one side like that. And another thing you want to make sure is this is staying 3/8, that the Decaville Heavy is 3/8 of an inch outside of this raw edge seam allowance. Mine isn't, so I'm just going to pull it out and trim it up a little bit. And stuff it back in. There we go. So you can see It's out of the way of the seam allowance. It's going all the way to the edges. And then you can go ahead and fuse that in place like so. Hey, Anna. How are you? I had no sojo today. I did nothing. I went out with my friend and we knit at Starbucks today. Okay, so that'll fuse that in place nicely on one side. So I can move this out of the way now. Bye-bye, iron. Okay. So that's that. Oops, it can go down a little more. Oh well, that's fine. And then we're going to go and we're going to top stitch all the way around, and you can baste this top shut as well. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to check my tension. You want your tension to look good on both sides. I think I can loosen it a little. Looks good. Now tighten it a little. Let's use a fresh piece here. This is just from the last one I did. It's just using some of the same material. So I can check my tension to the machine. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to top stitch around and baste that very top part. Check my tension was good. I think I can tighten it a little bit more. Looks good. All right, so let me know when you're there, Diane. Get all my tools. We're going to do some snap placement. Let out our frustrations. Anna, how many more sleeps? Was it 19 more sleeps till I come to Ontario? Is that until I come to Ontario or until I see you? Okay. So just around at that raw edge there, we kind of want to fold it in half. I guess we could have did this before. And we just want to do a small snip into that center. Okay, so we can see where that center is on top. On our pattern piece here, because we want to do our snap closure, I'm just going to fold mine in half. And because we didn't take any seam allowance off of this top, we should be able to line that center up with that top straight edge there. And then we can mark our placement for our snap. And then we didn't, oh, and that's not very center. Okay, roundabout, right about there. And then we can go ahead and install that snap. I'm just going to make sure it's centered. 3/4 and 3/4. I'm centered. Okay. You've only done a snap once, Diane. Do you have a kit like this? Because if you do, I can show you how I do it with this. So if you have a kit like this, you will have a little hole punch. It kind of looks like, you see that? It's got a hole in there. And you just put it over top of that and give it a good bang. We're going through all the layers. This is a cutting board my son made me in woodwork class when he was in high school. And then for the snap pieces, we're going to, it's going to seem opposite because I believe I did it in the, yeah. We are going to be installing the female part on here. Is that right? Yeah. So you're going to need, you have the plastic ones. So the way you install them similar, I think. Mine are the metal ones. So you're going to need the cap that looks like this. You can put that through on your right side because that's the part you want to be there. And on this opposite side is where you're going to put the female part. If it's the same. I've never used plastic ones before, but I assume they're the same. And then you kind of stick that over top. And then on my little thingy here, there's a side that has a little nubbin in the middle. And then there's a smooth side. It's the smooth side I want. And I put this against there. And I grab the pointy one and I put it into kind of the hole of the cap. And then I go to town on it. I love this set. It was only like $14 on Amazon. And then you see that's nice and stuck on. And that's what it looks like. I love the metal ones. So we will pull this out again later when we go to install the male side, but that is the flap done, or the little snap, or tab. What is this called? Tab done. All right, quick and easy. But yeah, these are great. Amazon. I use them for my tall wallets too. I'm not burning anything down here. So let me know when you're done that, and I will get acquainted with what we are doing next. So you can put that aside. I'm just going to put it in with my hardware. Not doing this. Here we go. I'm going to need this. Not that. This. And these. So now what we want to do is we want to grab out all of our pieces for our flap top and our flap bottom, including the 2 Decaville heavy pieces that we have cut out. Oops, I'm almost losing my rulers on the floor there. Let's move this back up. Come on. Okay, just clearing some space here. We're going to start with the flap top. I'm going to just quickly give it a quick press because it's wrinkled. Hey Kim, are you sewing with us today? You'll have to catch up. We just finished doing the tab. To make this less, there we go, busy. Okay. Now, I don't know if you may, I'm just going to go with it. But if you want to draw your seam allowance, make sure, I'll show you how we do that. On the back of the lining piece, so you get a nice curve or nice and sharp corners here. I didn't do it, but the first time, but it's probably not a bad idea to do it. So I'll do it and show you how it's done. So just along the straight edges of my lining piece, I'm going to draw 3/8 of an inch right along the side. And this is just going to give us kind of an idea of where we're going to be pivoting and stuff. Gives us a little bit of a guide. I probably should make sure this isn't going through my fabric because I'm using a Bic pen. I didn't mean to grab that, but I'm okay. Just because you want to make sure you're getting this really awesome shape here. Oops. And up the sides. Just like so. Oh no, you lost 2 screws. That's not good. Okay, Diane. You don't have to interface this piece, Diane. So just cut her out. While I'm waiting for Diane, I'm actually going to go ahead and with the bottom piece, we're going to do the same thing and draw out those seam allowances. Just to help us get a nice and sharp seam. You can already see I cut this kind of sloppily, so let's fix that. That was really sloppy. Holy moly. I did it on the lining, yes. You can do it on the exterior too. It's up to you. It's whichever one you're going to be sewing up so you can see it on the machine when you're on the machine. Okay. Again, you don't have to. I didn't with the first one, but it probably does make it a little faster and easier because you do have that guide for your pivots. So I can see I'm going to pivot right there. Three eighths and 3/8. And we may as well do both of these at the same time. So once you have that done, you can go ahead and put these right sides together with their corresponding pieces. And we're going to leave the long sides open. Oops. There we go. And I chose to do my lining side up because I don't have this interfaced and I don't want my bead dogs to eat that up, whereas I know it won't eat up my vinyl on the bottom. Just because I don't, my machine it's an industrial. So you just never know what it'll do with the uninterfaced cotton. It should be fine because we're going through the vinyl as well. I just didn't want it ripping up the interface side of this. I don't know if it would, but I'm not going to risk it. Okay, same with this one. Right sides together. Oh dear, that's okay. Are you good for me to go to the machine, or are you still cutting out, Diane? Okay, and then all you're going to do is follow those lines. We're going to leave these top long edges open, and we're going to follow these lines and stitch all the way around both of these pieces with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, Diane, just stop me if I get too far ahead, okay? I'll let you, otherwise I'm just going to keep going, so, all right. So definitely shout out if you need me to stop, all right? Ah, I got threads everywhere. I really got to vacuum my floor. Okay. So if you get down to where the lines cross from when you drew them in, that's going to be your pivot point. And same with when you get to these, you really want to get a nice shape here. Is the angle okay? Can you guys see okay? I had moved my cameras around because we used the cylinder arm last week. Pivot. Pivot. And because I am using a pearl vinyl, which is a little thicker and a thin lining, I'm just going to make sure that nothing is stressed out stitch-wise. I think we're okay. Yeah, we're fine. Okay, I'm going to do the same with the other one. So definitely take your time at this point, just because this is what makes this wallet so pretty. It's the shape of this flap. Lines definitely make it easier. I mean, I managed without them for the first one, but the lines definitely are helpful. All right. Okay. Okay, then once we have that done, what we want to do is at these corners here, we want to clip it as close as we can to those corners without cutting our thread. Same with the other side, and that's going to help us get nice pointy corners. And right in this little kind of triangle, little notch here, we're going to do a little triangle cutout. Just make sure you don't cut those threads like so. Then you can trim down the rest of those seam allowances. And right here we kind of have another little corner there, so you kind of want to just cut it a little bit straight along there so we'll be able to get it nice and sharp. Right there. Doesn't have to be super pretty. Just trying to remove some of that bulk from those areas. Same with this one. Cut those corners, making sure you're not cutting your thread on the back. Oh, my wrist is going nuts. Okay, and where they kind of go in here, we're going to just kind of do little snips again, kind of going the opposite direction because we're going into corners. And right here. And then trim everything else up. Okay, and we got this sharp corner at the bottom. What we want to do is straight across again. I know it doesn't look like it does anything, but trust me, it really does. Okay. And then go ahead and turn these right sides out. Poking out all of those corners and everything. I should take this one a little closer. Get my machine, my iron warming up. Poke out those corners. And I'm going to press this from the lining side without touching my vinyl, just to make this lay nice and flat. And then do the same with the other one. Just give it a quick steam. Okay. Look, Anna, I'm using a pumpkin one. Massage the, especially if you're using vinyl. If you're using all cotton, just definitely take this right to the iron and get it all pressed into place. Okay, I'm going to go and press this. Or steam it without, I'm trying not to touch my vinyl. I'm just trying to steam it and press it on my mat here. I think we're good. Get those corners out a little bit more. There we go. All right. Let me go to the next page. Ooh, I'm warm. All right. So now we're going to work with this flap top and get our deckable piece here for the flap top. Now this is similar to what we just did with the tab. We want to make sure that the fusible side of your stabilizer is on the same side as your exterior piece. So we're just going to end up sliding this in, but you want your seams on the inside to be on the lining side. So again, if you get this and it's not quite fitting in, mine's going to fit in, you can definitely trim it up. So you push it in. We also want to make sure that it's leaving about 3/8 of an inch along the top once it's all in place. So take your time to get it in behind those seams, all the way in. And I should be fine along that seam. So what I'm going to do is I'm kind of grabbing so I can feel the deckable heavy right at the seam, and I'm going to just put a clip there for now until I can fuse it in place. So it holds it in place, and I can kind of look in here and I can see I'm not quite too, you want this to be right up against your stitch line there. So with this nice opening on the top, it just really helps you guide where you want your deckable heavy piece to sit and hold it in place. This was another one I thought, hey, we could fuse this first, but it would have been impossible to turn, so that was just a silly idea. She wrote it the way she wrote it for a reason. Okay. You can see once you have it in, it is 3/8 away from the top. Okay. So I have it kind of being held into place along here. I can feel the rigidness along the seam of my deckable heavy right up against that seam. So I'm just going to start, I'm going to take it to the lining side. Let me move this over. Move all this up. Sorry, you see the top of my head? And I'm just going to press this so it's not going to fuse to the lining side, which is what we want. We don't want it to. We want it to fuse to only the exterior, but we're going to fuse it by pressing on this lining side. And if you're using vinyl, make sure you're not touching your vinyl with it. I'm just kind of doing this top part first. I can see it's fused there. Not on the lining side though, just on the exterior part. Go back in. One nice thing about a wool mat is you can definitely use the heat of the wool mat like so, especially when you're using vinyl. You just want to make sure it's staying nice and rigid. Once again, making sure all of your seams are on the lining side, which mine are. Again, take your time to make sure this placement is good. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just hold all these seams in place with clips to prepare for top stitching. But we're going to do the exact same thing with the lower flap as well. And then we'll top stitch them. I feel like my camera's moved funny. There we go. Okay. Let's do the same with this other one. So they are pretty easy to get in there just because we have such a wide opening, which I'm grateful for. Because I've done this in other wallets and I've wanted to cry. Again, making sure you have that seam allowance at the top here. If it looks like your deckable heavy piece is too big, go ahead and trim it up and reinsert it. Right up against that line. All right. Just using my wool mat just to kind of help press it out with my hands against the hot mat. Okay. And go in with clips. Oop. Please do stop me if I get too far ahead. All right. Do you want to make sure these seams are kind of finger rolled really nice? Right. You're good? Okay, cool. All right. I'm warm because the iron is right here. Holy moly. And I'm wearing like a t-shirt and a sweater and yeah. All right. Okay, let me just double check. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here. Oh, yes, I remember. Okay. Okay. So for this one right here, I take off my clips off this raw edge here, and what we want to do is right along here, we're going to be folding this exterior over our deckable heavy piece. So I'm going to use some tape to hold that in place. So you're folding it right over the deckable heavy piece. You're using the deckable heavy piece as your folding line. And this is another reason why nothing is interfaced, because you end up sewing through the deckable heavies. Okay, so I'm only working with the exterior. I have the lining held out of the way here. And it's a little bit finicky. Okay, and then use that tape to fold it over. So it looks like that. And then what you're going to do is fold under to the sides about the same. And then this lining, you're going to fold the raw edge under, but you're going to make sure that the folded edge matches up perfectly with this folded edge, like so. So you're going to kind of use the exterior that we already have folded under as our guide to folding under our lining piece. And I'm actually going to use more double-sided tape. You can decide if you want to. You had to put it upside down. Oh, there you go. So I'm putting more double-sided tape just on the other side of my kind of raw edge of that vinyl we went under. And I'm going to use that to hold my lining when I fold it under in place. So the hardest part I find is these sides, because you're going to gotta fold it under. Fold the lining under, but make sure they're the same size and then push them together. You can see how it's nice and even there. Do that all the way across. Again, this is probably one of the most finicky things about this pattern, but I mean seriously, it's worth the effort. Are you okay, Diane? Okay. So you definitely want to make sure they're lined up because we are going to end up top stitching this. We're just closing up that raw edge. Okay, I think that's looking good. All my raw edges are under. Now this straight edge is what's going to be showing. That's what this part is right here. So you want to make sure it is definitely nice and straight and even. Mine is pretty good. Yeah, we're good. And then I'm just going to also put clips there to hold that in place. You want to make sure all your corners are super sharp. And I don't really need all these clips. It's only because my vinyl's pulling away that I want it to be holding its shape. Where did I put my instructions? Here they are. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to take this bottom piece, we're putting this one aside for now, and just along the bottom straight edge, so we're not doing anything with this curvy edge, we're going to do an 1/8 of an inch top stitch and then 1/4 of an inch top stitch just along that bottom straight edge. And I can show you in this one, you can see it's just along that bottom straight edge. Let's go ahead and do that. That was wrong. There we go. So I'm just going to double check. I'm sewing through vinyl now, so I want to make sure my thicknesses are good. 1, 2. Just because my machine is so finicky with changing its tensions depending what I'm sewing with. So I always check it when I've changed thicknesses, especially when you're going to see it on both sides of the bag, and you will see this on both sides. So that side's good. That side's good. Lucky. Okay, so just along that bottom edge there. I'm going to try to get this corner better. Okay. centers down good. Okay, so there's my first line. She looks good. And then I'm going to go in again with another line 1/8 of an inch away from that, or 1/4 of an inch away from the folded edge. Both work. I tend to follow the stitch line just in case I got a little bit wonky, then at least they're equally wonky. So I'm going 1/8 of an inch away from my last top stitch line. And she looks good. Okay. All right. I'm going to take these clips off now. Kind of just set that seam nicely for me, which is what I wanted. That's what it looks like, top stitch through both sides. Make sure everything was caught. I'm going to just take a lighter to my threads just so they don't fray. All right. Now we're going to take this one here, and on the lining side, take the clips out again. I'm just using the clips to kind of hold my seam in place. We want to do, just kind of spread this out a little bit, some marking. So we want to draw just along this side here. Is this getting too cluttered? I feel like it's getting too cluttered. Just along this decorative edge here, we're going to draw 3/8 lines, almost similar to when we sewn it, with a pen that will, of course, air erase, or a friction pen or chalk, but you are going to want to be able to see those lines. Just along that bottom side, just like that. And then we're going to take some double-sided tape and put it underneath that line. You probably have to do a few different pieces so you can get that angle. You don't want to go above that line. You don't want to go below our seam here. This fabric makes my air erase pen disappear so fast. It's making me work fast. Oh man. Okay. Take the paper off your tape. Oh, that sounds like fun, Rhonda. How's Rhonda? One day I'll have granddaughters, I hope. I can't wait to be a grandma. But I'll let my kids get a little older first. Okay. So once we have that tape there, now you're going to see those lines is the exact same shape as this. So we have both of these pieces right sides down, and we're going to line this up with that friction line that we just drew. Of course, mine is disappearing already. You want to make sure you stick it down and it's nice and even. You can kind of check on this side, make sure we're nice and even here, which I think I look good. I think it looks good. Yeah. Then I'm just going to put a couple clips in these sides here to hold that in place. So all that's holding this bottom piece in is that double-sided tape. So and then what we're going to do is going to take this to the machine. And this is where this would not be good for domestic machine to use vinyl because this gets super thick. But right through here, Let me just double check. I'll make sure I do this right. Okay. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to top stitch down the sides. We can actually close up the top here as well. I'm going to go down the sides. You can actually do this two ways. We're going to end up sewing right along here, 1/8 of an inch along here and 1/4 of an inch around here, and then down the sides. Now I didn't want to have all of that back stitching, so on this one you can see I didn't top stitch down the sides of this bottom one. I think it looks kind of nice that way. So I just ended up top stitching all in one go, having my back stitches up here to close up this top, all the way across, 1/8 of an inch down to here, across, up and over, and then another 1/4 of an inch. Let me double check that we can definitely close that up. I'm pretty sure we can, but thanks, Rhonda, they're pearls. Okay, I lied. The top remains open. Do not stitch this open top, just down. So you can either do across here with your 2 lines of top stitching and then do the 2 sides all the way down to the bottom, or you can do what I did where I didn't top stitch these side parts. I just top stitched this because I like the look of that better, and I actually like the look of this part not top stitched, so that's what I'm going to do again. But you can decide which way you want to do it. Okay, why didn't we switch over? Did I hit the wrong button? Oops. There we go. All right. So again, we're leaving the top open. And we're just going to go around this whole thing with 1/8 of an inch first. And you can either go all the way to the down and then go back and do the flap. I'm not going to go all the way down. I'm just going to do the flap. And this is going to sew that flap in place. Make sure you're pivoting. Again, you could definitely draw your seams in here if you're worried about not getting a sharp corner for that pivot. I'm just going with it. I'm pretty good at eyeballing it, so. Go a little bit further. This is definitely the prettiest part of this wallet. I just love this flap so much. A bit more. And up the sides. You like that, Rhonda? I just had that made, actually. A local lady here makes signs, so I got like 11 signs. Okay, so that's the 1/8 of an inch, and I'm going to go back in and do another row top stitching 1/8 of an inch away from that. That's the sign that's featured in the tutorial I'm working on, the Fun Bobby tutorial. I just haven't moved it. Different signs every tutorial. Oops. Just hanging out here. You want to make sure it looks good on both sides because it will show on both sides. Almost wishing I used my orange Saya thread. Oh well, that's okay. I have like a orange thread from Saya Swag that would be perfect for this. The gray looks good too. There we go. Check out the other side, make sure it all looks good. Mine's not perfect, but it's not terrible. Okay, let me flip this around. Whew. That is our flap pretty much done, almost done. So you can see here, you want to make sure everything was caught here, and it was. And I mean, it's not perfect. Neither was this one. But it still looks good. See? Just going to burn my raw edges. Well, not my raw edges, my threads. And there we go. How are you making out, Diane? So you can kind of see how this is coming together. And I just want to see. I think I want to make something for homework. Yeah. Okay, so for homework will be to install the female part of the turn lock. Now if you're using this one from Emmeline, it is absolutely perfect for this. So you will place it so it's the even amount away from here and here. I believe it's about 3/8 of an inch, and install it nice and centered right there. So that'll be homework. Make sure you put it nice and straight. Again, this one follows this exact same shape, so I just loved it. So yeah, because it does take a little bit of finagling to do that, go ahead for homework and install the female half of your turn lock right there. So make sure it's nice and centered. Make sure it looks good. I don't like my stitching right there. I went a little bit off, but can I? Yeah, I guess it's fine. It's fine. So yeah, so that'll be homework to install that part of the turn lock. Okay, so we can put that flap aside for now. Let's see what's next. Any questions so far? You're done, Diane. You're fast. Okay. Body shell. I'm trying to see where we want to go. Okay. So now we are on page 18 of the pattern, and we want to bring out our body lining pieces. So this is a pretty involved pattern. It is really good, but it is so involved, I swear. Okay, so let me find those pieces. Body exterior, but we want the body lining. Not that one. Where are we? Body lining pieces. Okay, I'm just going to give these a quick press. Again, these are not interfaced. I think I like having my iron, my domestic iron over here for class. I think it works good. I need a little bit of water. And I'm just ironing it because I didn't interface this. I didn't iron it. There's some getting water everywhere. All right. So we just need one of the body lining pieces for now. We want to make sure we have it orientated the right way. So I'm actually going to write top up here just so I know that it is orientated the right way. I'm also going to go ahead and find my top and bottom centers. Top and bottom centers. And I believe we want to find our side centers as well, so we'll go ahead and do that. Fold it in half. So making sure my top is orientated up. I have to refer to the pattern because these are crucial measurements. On the wrong side of okay. So now we want to draw a line that is 4 3/8 away from the top edge. 4 3/8. Use a friction marker. So that'll be not quite to our middle, see our middle side clip outs, not quite to there. 4 3/8 down. And what does it say? From the top edge using a painting marker, find the center top, left to right, and make a small mark. Yep. Okay. So that's my center top right there. So this was the part that confused me a little bit. Okay. Now we're going to take our other body lining piece, make sure it's oriented the same way, and find your centers of this one as well. And I'm going to mark top on top. Make sure I have it orientated the right way. Now this part I can tell you I did screw up the first time I made it, which is good because now I know what I'm doing. Okay, and my sides. Okay. Then what we want to do is put these right sides together, lining up our tops. Put a clip in there to hold that right now. And we are only going to clip these together to this line. So we're not clipping the whole thing, just to that line. Okay, and now we also want to grab our flap thingy. I gotta make sure I orientate this correctly. Again, orientation is everything in this pattern. You don't want to have anything upside down. Put together the portion that's above the line. Retrieve your tab closure and center it left to right using small marks. Glue sandwich between. Okay, so your exterior piece of your tab should be right side down. And what we're going to do is we have our center marks here and our center marks at the top here, and we're going to slide this in. So we have the female part of our snap pointing upwards. We're going to push this in, and we want to leave about 1/8 of an inch or so over the top. You want to make sure it's nice and centered. Oh, get back here. Come back here. Just gonna match up that center. So just slight little overhang. Make sure it's nice and even. Again, it's a little finicky. And then add some clips in to hold it in place. Just like so. And then we're going to stitch from this line up and across and down to that line with the 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, and then we're going to just go within that seam allowance once more, just to the at the tab part, just to give the tab a little bit more security. Just make sure I'm not forgetting anything, because I did mess this part up before. Nope, that's it. So let's go do that. Well, I might have to change my camera. Okay. So yeah, the construction of this is like no wallet I have ever done. That's why I'm taking it nice and slow. No, I did both in cotton, Rhonda. It gets really, really thick, so I didn't want to make it too thick. Okay, now because I'm going to cottons, I want to just double check make sure my tension is good. So I'm just going to grab a scrap of the same lining fabric. Again, this is Industrials, mine anyways. Whenever I change thicknesses, I have to change my, I gotta check my tension. So I just took 2 layers of my fabric, and surprisingly, it looks good. Weird. Okay, so I'm starting right at that line with 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, and we're not going over that line, just starting right at that line with your needle down. No, I don't have my needle positioner on yet. Maybe when I'm in Ontario, Dave will put it on for me. He's just been so busy. A bit. All the way across. Put that out of the way for a moment. Can you hear the sounds my machine makes? It does not like sewing through the thin layers, but it's doing it okay. But it kind of makes this weird kind of sound. I don't know if you can hear it. But it's doing it, so that's all that matters. I'm going nice and slow to make sure my machine doesn't eat it up at all. And then stopping at that line. I'm just making that sound again. It's mad at me. But it isn't eating my fabric, which is good. And then just right along here, within the seam allowance, I'm just going to do a couple lines more just to secure that snap a little bit more, or that tab a little bit more. Okay. Whew, deep breaths. How are we making out? You could definitely do it with some vinyl, though, if you wanted to, Rhonda. All right, take a breather. Whew. Don't know why my camera's all weird. It's all crooked. Sorry, I'm probably making you guys dizzy. Let me clean this up a little bit because it's starting to look like a disaster. This up here so we can see what we're making. Here's my juice. Don't need that anymore. Okay. I make a mess when I'm sewing. You're good? Everything made sense? All right. Okay, now, said this is the part that stresses me out because it's not a hard part, but I messed it up and had to do it twice. So I don't want to do it again. Okay, so now we need our body exterior piece. Again, we have it. We should have it marked top from when we drew it out. I'm going to just give this a quick press because it's looking a little folded. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just snip my top and bottom centers and my side centers. Oh yes, you could definitely use cork too. Yeah. Again, on a domestic machine, I would be a little bit wary because this does get super thick, but on an industrial, should be fine. But this was written for domestics and for cottons, so it was a big experiment doing it in vinyl, and Chris, the designer, had never seen anybody do it in vinyls before, so. My hair, I've been outside a lot. It's blonde, and I didn't go as deep red this time. This is more my natural, like it's strawberry blonde. But yeah, in the summertime, there's no point of me doing the deep auburn. It's best for me just to stay kind of natural because my hair bleaches out with the sun so bad. It did that in Bali when I went in Indonesia. I remember I had it almost that burgundy auburn, and within a week of being there, it was like blonde. So yeah, I'm usually lighter, and this is my natural. Well, sort of. Still dyed because I'm gray, but. Okay, let me double check this. Stitch the 3 sides. Okay, so now what we want to do is we're going to flip this out like so. See what I've done here? We're all flipped out. And we want to put this right sides together with our exterior piece. So we got this little middle thing kind of hanging out in the middle, just like this. And we're going to match up that center. Oh, I got some weird little wings happening here. Match up that center and clip these right sides together. Bye, Brady. Have a good night at work. And now I'm officially alone. Did you feed the dogs? Yeah. Thank you. We're going to match up this bottom. Again, kind of flipping it out of the way. Now, you're going to see that the centers from the side we drew the line do not match these centers. The side that we didn't draw the line will match the centers. We want to match up those centers. I obviously cut this really wonky, but it's okay. It'll catch in that seam allowance. Should be fine. See, I kind of went off kilter here with my cutting, but it's a 3/8 seam allowance and it'll catch that. So all will be well. Okay. Deep breaths. Okay, that's right. So this is where I did something wrong. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to end up sewing. We're going to leave the top side open. So where we have a marked top is going to stay open. Okay, and we are going to stitch. No, I want the side that has the line on it first. Oops, and I didn't clip all the way up the side. Silly Brandy. So I guess this is my top. It doesn't really matter because it's all the same size. Side. So we're leaving this open. We're going to sew 3/8 of an inch down this way. We're going to stop at this line. So you want to make sure you're not catching this middle part. So you're going to kind of stop right here, back stitch. Flip this out of the way, pick up where this stitching ended here, go all the way down. And even though I know it's going to seem weird because we have a top open, we're also going to leave an opening for turning here. And that'll come into play because that is actually where we are going to be putting our flap. Hope I got this going the right way. I always get paranoid. Okay. So again, we're going to go leave this top open. We're going to go down here. I'm just making sure. Yeah, down here, 3/8. Break our thread, flip this over, continue down and around to here. Come here, across, up, stop there, break our thread, flip this over, start again, and go all the way to the top. Does that make sense? I hope so. I hope that makes sense. I think it makes sense. I'm just hoping I have my flap in the right way. Let me double check. I'm always worried that my flap is going to go to the wrong direction. Nope, that's the right way. So as long as you want to make sure that line is up so we know that our tab is going to be the right way when we turn it the way. All right, so let's go ahead and sew that. Bag, I swear. But very important, you don't sew through that middle section. Okay. And you leave the top open. So I'm going to start on this side here. 3/8. Okay, you don't want to sew through this, you just want to sew to that line. Okay, cut your thread. Flip this middle section out of the way. I caught it a little bit, so I'm just going to trim it up, okay? Again, making sure you're not getting this middle section. Stopping at that opening, so that's one side done. I'm going to hop on over and do the other side. And once again, when you get to this flap, you want to make sure this little thingy here, you want to make sure you're not sewing through it. Ask me how I know. Break your thread, flip it over, and you will know if you've got it caught because it will show. Do the other side. Oops. Come on, here. There we go. Oh, my machine is not happy with sewing such skinny fabric. And all the way to the top. Okay, and see, it ate my thread a little bit. I'm going to go and I'm just going to fix that up. My machine had a little bit of a temper tantrum there. Again, it's because of the thicknesses, I'm sure. Or it could have been my bobbin. I can fix it though. That looks good now. Looks good there too. Okay. So I guess I could have probably left putting my tab in there if I was worried about if I was going to have it the wrong way. But I think it's the right way. It'll all be fine. Okay, what's next? So that leaves us with an opening in the top and an opening in the bottom. And what that is for, and we won't be doing it till next week because we have to install our turn lock, will be, this is where we're going to end up putting that flap in. So yeah, and then we'll end up turning it out through this bottom. So that is all we can really do with the exterior for now until next class. So yeah, so we can put that aside for now, and maybe we will get some of our card slots started. So I think that will be good. Okay, let me put this aside. And let's grab our card pocket pieces. Are we good? Is this too much? Do we need to stop now, Diane, or are we okay? I know that was a lot to do all at once. And actually that was all I had planned for today to be done, but we can keep going if you guys want to. It's up to you. What would you like to do? You tell me. Making pretty good time. You're good? Keep going? Okay. You want to keep going, Diane, or you want to stop? Whatever I want. Okay, let's get the card slots done, and then we will call it. We won't do the zipper pockets today. That's the wrong one. Where'd my instructions go? Just because this can be homework as well. We'll finish up that part later. It's only, so we're not finishing the exterior just because I find it very hard to do, whatchamacallit, the turn lock, installing the turn lock on camera, just because we all install so differently. Okay, I think, so it's easier if we do that later. Actually, no, let's do this. So we could do the ID pocket, but let's go ahead. And we are just going to prep our card slots and do the top stitching of our card slots. Now I do the card slots a little bit different than the pattern. So you're going to need your card slot pieces and then your card slot interfacings. And I think my way is easier. You guys all see what I'm doing here okay? Okay. So let's start with card pocket A. Okay, so that's this big long one. I'm going to give it a good press here because this is uninterfaced and I didn't press it. Let me just get this. My iron is wreaking havoc at my table here. Okay. So we're gonna do some marks, okay? I mean, the marks are in the pattern, but she kind of marks it, then folds it, and marks it, and then folds it. I don't like doing it that way, so we're gonna do it my way. So we need a ruler. I'm gonna use my 4-inch ruler for this. So we're going to mark on the wrong side. We're gonna mark top, just like that. And then we're going to draw lines. The first line we're going to draw is 4 inches from that top. Okay? So 4 inches. What she does is she draws it, then presses. We're going to draw it all, and then we're going to press it all at the same time. The next line from there, from that line, you want to draw 2 3/4. So the measurements are all there. They're just over multiple steps. So 2 3/4. I shouldn't be using this pen. Is it going to show through? Oh, I'm good. Okay. So 4 inches, 2 3/4, and then from that 2 3/4 line, we're going to draw 3.5 inches. Everyone with me so far? And then we're going to alternate between the 2 3/4 and the 3.5 until we have, I think it's 8 lines drawn. So the first section is 4 inches. That's the only time we're doing that 4-inch one. Then it's 2 3/4, 3.5, 2 3/4, 3.5, 2 3/4, 3.5. Well, how many lines we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 2 3/4. All right. And then 3.5, I think. Might not need that last line. I don't think we needed that last line. Okay. And then, make sure I do these right. We're going to take, so we should have 4 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's of these little small ones. And we are going to lay them out like this. So this first one is going to go the first line, and then we're going to do them every other line. So yeah, you didn't need this last line that I just drew. That last line, don't need that. And then you're going to fuse these on. I think this is right. Just double checking myself. Wrong sides together. Just bear with me for a sec. I got to get my bearings. Sides together. Yeah, that's right. So underneath the first line, underneath the third line, underneath the fifth line. So kind of the tops of those 2 3/4 boxes. Okay, read there. Just got to grab a piece of cardboard. Where do I have them? Bear with me. I'm looking for something. Something in here. I do. Okay, so what we want to do is this first one, we have it wrong side up, and I'm just going to put my cardboard. I like to use a piece of cardstock. You don't have to do this, but I'm going to line it up with that line, and I'm going to fold this top side right along there, wrong sides together, and give it a press. So it looks like that. And then you can flip it upwards. And that's where we are going to look for that second line there. And this is why I like to use the cardboard, because I just find it's easier to see. Find that second line. Get it nice and taut with the cardboard, nice and even. And give it a good press. Okay, like so. So we can flip this over this side. So now my top is going this way. And do the same for the next lines. Putting the wrong sides together. Let's make sure I'm doing this right. I don't know if I did that right. One sec. I'm second guessing myself. No, that's right. You can see how we're forming our lines here. Go to your next line. Close it up. You know what? I think I'm doing it the wrong way. Try this again. So this is my top. Okay, no, it was supposed to be this way. We're doing it right. Holding it this way. I just had it orientated wrong. There we go. There we go. Hold it this way. There we go. So these are all kind of finicky. Up to that line again. Hold it up. We're going to make these a lot more even here momentarily. And then fold it up. Okay, so the longer piece should be on the bottom. I just realized that my deckable heavy pieces, these pieces here should have been on every second line. It doesn't really matter though. It'll be tougher at the bottom, but if you haven't fused them on our next ones, we're going to do them opposite what we did. I'm not going to change it now though. It'll be fine. It's because I orientated my piece the wrong way. So this is where you want to kind of eyeball to make sure all your card slots are about the same distance apart. Okay. And then this should measure, when all done, about 8 7/8 of an inch. So again, for your deckable heavy pieces, put them on every second line, not on every first line like I did. I'm not going to change it. It's going to be fine. But on our other two, we're going to do it the right way. Sorry about that, Diane. So yeah. Our other ones, our next two, we will do properly, but these will be fine. It just adds a little extra structure along that top, so you could definitely go in and add some more if you wanted to, but I'm not going to worry about it. Now I want to make sure that this measures 8 7/8, and so mine is 8 5/8, which means I need to adjust these. We need this to be the exact height, so making sure your card slots are all evenish. We just want to make sure these are all right before we go to top stitch. Again, it's a little bit finicky, as card slots always are. Yours is upside down. Uh-oh. That's what mine was doing at first, Diane, and then I remembered I had to put my top side to the right-hand side. And then I put the, we put these on the wrong things. They should be here. We should have done it on every second one, not every first one. So maybe what we'll do is we will call it, if we want to go and correct that for homework, I may actually just go and add more deckable heavy or onto these other ones, so it'll be on all of them, and then we will finish up the card slots next week with a fresh mind. But they will be going together pretty much the same, so maybe redraw out the lines, make sure your top is going to the right. That was my fault because I started doing it to the left, but you want your top to be to the right. Does that make sense? So again, you're going to start, your top is going to be to this way. Pretend these are on every second one. So, and we're going to put it right side up. You're going to fold it right sides together and press. And then still with the top to the right, you're going to flip it over. And then it'll start going the right way. Does that make sense? Okay, so yeah, I am actually going to have to cut some more, some more of these, and I'm just going to put one on each one. But yeah, that was my bad. We put them on every first one. It should have been on every second one. And then when you start doing them, make sure you flip it this way. So we will call it. I think my brain has just gotten tired, so this is a lot of thinking for card slots. So yeah, we've got about 50 minutes or so. This was actually not supposed to be till next class anyways, so we will revisit this again next week, and we will do the other two card slots finish. So we'll finish up the exterior, we'll finish up the other two card slots and get them all done, and then we'll probably start the zipper pockets, and then the following week we'll be able to put it all together. Does that work? So I probably should have stopped that last 10 minutes because I didn't review. Usually I'll go and I'll review the lesson plan I have out to make sure I'm explaining everything correctly, and I mixed myself up with this, but I hope it makes sense. We will revisit it again. But yes, if you do it that way, they will all be the same. I did it right in the tutorial, so you can check that out too if I confused you too much here. And we'll finish up the other two and the ID thing and the zipper pockets next week. Does that work? Yay! Yeah, when I start making mistakes, I know that I am tired. Any questions? So what this one is this pocket right here. This is what we're making, is this one right here. So we'll have to do the ID pocket too. And then it has the zipper pocket. It gets really, really intense when we get into the linings, which is why I didn't want to do the linings today, so I should have stopped. But good, you got it. I showed you how to fix a mistake, so that's never ever a bad mistake. We all learn from the mistakes, and it was just because I had it orientated the wrong way. So, oh, Kim, I haven't. I'm pretty sure you can buy them for your bobbin holder. Just contact your sewing machine guy. I need to go chill for the evening. I'm just tired. But no, we still got it. And again, I showed you how to fix it. So yeah. But yeah, I think I will go in. This one's just going to have extra EB Fuse medium because that's supposed to be at the top to give a nice rigid line for your card. So I did fuse them on the wrong side. So every second line, not every first line, those get fused on. No mistakes, only lessons. Exactly. It wasn't a bad mistake. I mean, I could totally do it with this. It's not a mistake anymore. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for your understanding. We will call it there. I said this wallet is pretty intense. So next week, we will finish up this flap. Only homework is to install the female side of your turn lock. And yeah. The hardest part of this wallet, I think, is actually doing the welts. So that's always a lot of fun. It is, Kim, and I make mistakes all the time. I mean, I get people messaging me going, you do things so perfect. Because like, no, I don't. And that's why in my tutorials, I always say, oops, I made a mistake here. I keep my mistakes in the tutorials for that exact reason. Because that's stuff that I came across, and you may come across it too. And there's always a way to fix it. So, yeah. All right, I hope that was a good class. Thank you, Diane, for sewing along with me today. Annie and Kim, I hope you'll rejoin us next week, and I can't wait to see all those that are doing the replays. If this part confused you, definitely check out the tutorial. It is explained much better there, or you can message me. All right, have a great night, everybody. Bye-bye.